Antoine Massey, one of the guys who broke out of that New Orleans jail, just popped up on Instagram with a bold message.
Louisiana have the highest incarceration rate in the world for putting black people away.
Who has captured escapee Antoine Massey before, says it's only a matter of time before Massey and Derrick Groves are caught again.
Turns out the story we thought we knew might have been completely off. Antoine saying the system did him dirty. Let's dive into his side of the mess. He kicked it off by explaining he wasn't just some escapee, he was actually released from the GC. He says he wanted to finally clear the air about why he ended up locked in Orleans Parish Jail for nearly 8 months. According to Antoine, they charged him with stealing a car in a domestic case involving strangulation, but that wasn't even where it started. Antoine says he was first thrown into St. Tammany Detention Center, a whole other jail in a whole other parish. 2 parishes, 2 different jails, same woman at the center of both cases. And that's where things really start getting wild. Antoine claimed he was hit with a stack of serious charges: 2nd-degree kidnapping, 2nd-degree assault, a domestic strangulation charge, and even violating a protective order, all because of one woman named Diamond. Amanda White, he made sure everyone knew this was a grown woman, not a kid.
The ones that was let out the GC.
He said they were in a relationship. Antoine swears up and down that the accusations were bogus, and he even pulled out what looked like a legal doc where she supposedly admitted nothing ever happened. According to him, the whole thing blew up on a day she claimed he did something to her. But he says that's just not what went down. November 10th, 2020, Antoine said he wasn't even near that woman when everything supposedly went down. He broke it all down. When he first got locked up in St. Tammany, it was over a basic domestic charge, which triggered a parole hold. Then, after some of those charges either got dropped or rejected, they transferred him to Orleans Parish. By then, he says the only thing still hanging over him were a car theft and domestic battery charge. Nothing else was active. But here's where it gets real shady. The same woman was behind the accusations in both parishes, and according to Antoine, she later told the cops it was all lies. He claims she confessed to making it up because she thought he was messing around with another woman. Jealousy sparked the whole mess. Yet even after she supposedly came clean, Antoine says the courts and the DA still kept him locked up like none of that mattered. He didn't hold back calling it out, saying this kind of thing happens way too often, especially in Louisiana. He said straight up, Louisiana got the highest incarceration rate in the world for putting black folks behind bars.
Louisiana have the highest incarceration rate in the world for putting black people away.
That's a heavy claim, and Antoine's story adds fuel to it. He even opened up about his past, losing his dad when he was just 7, watching his mom raise 4 kids on her own and making dumb choices while trying to survive. But now, he says he's not that same dude. He's a dad himself now, proud of his daughter who just graduated and raising a little 3-year-old son too. Antoine admitted people still judge him by how he looks, especially his face tats, but he swears he's got a good heart, and the real ones around him know the truth.
2003, I'm about to hit this.
So you been gone?
I've been gone for 14 summers, man. You hear me? But I ain't swum since 2003.
Then Antoine got into the moment everybody's been talking about, the so-called jail escape. But according to him, he didn't escape a thing. He was let out, straight up. He shut down the rumor that he pulled a shank on a maintenance worker, saying the whole story was bogus. He pointed out that no maintenance guy can even be on the tier without a deputy there. So if he really did what they claimed, it would have been in the reports instantly. And it wasn't. Antoine said the dude straight up lied on him. And the system believed it just because of how he looks. He didn't stop there either. He went off on St. Tammany Parish, calling it one of the most crooked jails in all of Louisiana. He demanded answers. Why was he even in jail to begin with if the one and only witness, the supposed victim, took back everything and said none of it happened?
Manhunt after a stunning jailbreak in New Orleans. 10 inmates escaping, some charged with murder, all considered armed and dangerous.
To Antoine, it felt like a setup. like he was part of some bigger game where certain people, DAs, sheriffs, were just passing him around from jail to jail, trying to slap a charge on him just because of his record. He made it clear. It felt personal. By the end of his video, Antoine was practically begging for help, reaching out to the media, calling on people with big voices, Meek Mill, Lil Wayne, NBA YoungBoy, even Donald Trump. He said he couldn't afford a lawyer and nobody wanted to step in to help prove he was innocent. Antoine said he's not alone either. There's a whole lot of black men like him sitting in cells, locked away for stuff they didn't even do, trapped in a system that just looks the other way. That's why he said he ran. He felt like he had no other choice. He's got a family, kids, a whole life, and it's all falling apart because of what he says are lies and a justice system that, in his words, needs a federal investigation. At the end of his video, Antoine pulled out even more paperwork, showing documents where the woman straight up said he never hurt her, never touched her, and wasn't even around when the stuff went down. He kept saying it loud. He's not running because he's guilty. He's running because nobody's listening. All he wants is a fair shot to tell his side without being judged off his past or his tattoos. But is he actually gonna get that chance? That's the real question, and right now it's looking shaky. Word is the bounty hunters are getting close. Chuck Jordan, the top dog at the National Association of Fugitive Recovery Agents, just jumped into the spotlight and made it crystal clear. He's locked in on Antoine and Derek, and he's not backing off until both of them are back in cuffs.
Open the door, dude. I'm not opening, you kidding me? Get out. Go with him.
Chuck even hit up News Nation and didn't hold anything back. He said this isn't just some small town chase. This is a full-on nationwide manhunt, and Chuck's calling the shots. He's got eyes watching, ears listening, and teams on the ground tracking every move. From what we know, Chuck Jordan isn't just some figurehead. He's the one calling the shots as the president of the whole fugitive recovery crew. And he's not chilling behind a desk either. Chuck's out here assembling full-on teams, working side by side with federal agents, and putting real pressure on the streets. The public's been blowing up his tip lines too. Chuck said his squad is closing in thanks to folks dropping info, or as he jokingly put it, snitching. But hey, it's helping. They've been watching known hangouts, keeping tabs on people close to the fugitives and using serious surveillance tactics. And Chuck, he's confident he basically threw down the gauntlet. Y'all can run, but you can't hide forever. He knows Antoine and Derek are sweating it out, especially with that $50,000 bounty tempting everybody in the neighborhood, even folks they thought were loyal. But Chuck ain't the only one on the chase. A seasoned bounty hunter named Matt Dennis, who's already caught Massey once before, stepped up and had a few words of his own. He said loud and clear, don't underestimate Antoine. He called him slick and real hard to catch. Matter of fact, Dennis reminded everybody that back in 2023, Massey snatched off his ankle monitor and vanished, like he'd done this before, because he has.
Dennis with Assured Supervision Accountability Program, or ASAP, an electronic monitoring company, says Massey was a red flag from the start.
This ain't Massey's first time dodging the system, and Dennis knows it. Still, the whole bounty hunter team is locked in with the feds and local law enforcement, building up serious pressure and tracking every move. With that $50,000 reward still hanging over each of their heads, everybody's on edge, from trained bounty hunters to regular folks just looking to cash in. Matt Dennis says he's got no doubt Massey's gonna get caught. And if you're Antoine or Derek, you better believe it's time to start sweating, because it's not just bounty hunters on your tail anymore. It's the whole squad. We're talking FBI, ATF, U.S. Marshals, Louisiana State Police, New Orleans PD. Every single one of them is locked in on this mission. Press conferences are happening. Updates keep dropping. This thing is on full-blown high alert. And don't forget, these aren't your average suspects. Both Antoine Massey and Derek Groves are considered certified flight risks. Massey's already pulled disappearing acts before. Dude even jokes about being an escape artist in his bio. And Groves, he's got a stack of serious charges, including multiple violent offenses, and he's made it crystal clear he's not turning himself in anytime soon.
The ones that was let out of the GC.
So where do things stand right now? As of this moment, both of them are still out there, dodging the system, but let's keep it real, the walls are closing in fast. Law enforcement squeezing from every direction, and that $100,000 reward total, that's got lips ready to loosen quick. Somebody's bound to spill. This ain't just a manhunt anymore. It's turning into a straight-up showdown. And if Chuck Jordan says they're closing in, it's only a matter of when, not if. On May 16, 2025, 10 inmates pulled off one of the wildest escapes the Orleans Justice Center has ever seen. And it wasn't no sloppy move. This was a calculated, well-planned operation that had people shook. These dudes made headlines fast, and right at the center of it all, Antoine and Derek labeled as the masterminds behind the whole thing. But let's be clear, they didn't just walk out the front door. These guys went full movie mode. First, they ripped a toilet clean off the wall, cut through a hidden hole, crawled through grimy pipes, and popped out at a loading dock like it was a secret exit.
We show a dislodged toilet inside one of the cells and the words "too easy" scribbled above, pointing to a hole where the inmates are believed to have escaped.
Security cameras even caught them breaking open a cell door before they disappeared into the night. Now here's the part that really blows minds. Jail staff didn't even notice they were gone for more than 7 hours. That's insane. But what's even crazier is how deep this thing really went. It wasn't just the inmates making moves. At least 15 other people were allegedly involved, including family, friends, and even a maintenance worker from inside the jail. They had folks sneaking in food, dropping cash, giving rides, and hooking them up with spots to lay low. One person even shut off the jail's water to help the escape go smoother. Others were using apps to send money, lying to investigators, and wiping phones clean to hide the evidence. They even used internet-based phones to stay off the radar and dodge tracking.
Faulty locks also played a role in the escape.
Now, as Chris Joseph reports, the Attorney General estimates the Sheriff's Office needs to replace locks on 160.
Bottom line, the jail was nowhere near ready for a plan like this. These guys had help, had a plan, and for a minute, they really pulled it off. Locks were busted, staff was stretched thin, and the place was under heavy renovations, basically the perfect setup for a jailbreak. Major parts of the jail were left wide open, and get this, nearly a third of the security cameras weren't even working. No wonder those guys slipped out like ghosts. It was wide open for the taking. And now that the story's blown up nationwide, the fallout is just as wild. Cops have been rounding up the people who helped, including that jail maintenance worker and several family members who lied or tried to stash the fugitives. They're not playing around anymore. Even Louisiana's Attorney General and the governor stepped in, calling this one of the worst jailbreaks the state's ever seen, and they're pointing fingers at everything. Broken systems, slow-moving courts, overcrowded jails, and old buildings that just aren't built for what's going on in 2025. Now, a full investigation is underway. They're replacing locks, fixing hinges, and trying to clean up the unit where it all went down. But here's the kicker. There are still over 160 cells that need upgrades. So yeah, they've got a long way to go. All of that definitely played a part. But let's bring it back to Antoine for a second and look at what his chances really are of walking away from all this as a free man. To keep it all the way real, Antoine's options are looking super slim right now. The odds of him beating this whole thing, close to zero. He's already got serious charges on his record, domestic, car theft. And to make it worse, he's wanted in another parish for assault and kidnapping. That's heavy. Now add in this wild headline-making jailbreak, yeah, the system's not about to show him any mercy. Local police, state troopers, federal agents, they're all dialed in. And with that $50,000 reward on his head, people are way too motivated to drop a tip. Most escapees don't get far. And even though Massey managed to stay underground for a little while, the cops say they've got strong leads and feel like it's only a matter of time.
Well, it's enough to get our attention, and some of our members that happen to be in that area would certainly put a little bit of time into effort.
Especially after he started trolling them online, jumping into pools and posting like it's a game. That right there, not helping his case at all. Now, some folks on the internet are buying what Massey's selling. He's been saying he didn't escape, that he was let out, and that the system's dirty and setting him up. That might get him a bit of sympathy from people online, but let's be real. The courts don't care about Instagram posts, not with his record. Even if he turned himself in tomorrow, he's still facing brand new charges just for the escape. Legally, it's looking real ugly for him. So is Meek Mill gonna step in for Antoine like he's done with other high-profile cases? That's still up in the air. But let's get one thing straight. Trump? Nah. He hasn't said a single word. And unless this whole thing explodes into some major political headline, don't expect him to say anything either. This ain't like the other cases he's backed. Yeah, Trump has helped people out legally before, especially during his time as president. Think about Alice Johnson. She was serving life for a nonviolent charge. Kim Kardashian pulled up to the White House, lobbied hard, and boom, Trump granted her clemency. Not because he suddenly got soft-hearted, but because it made him look good in the press, especially with black voters. Same thing happened with Lil Wayne and Kodak Black. Both got pardons at the end of Trump's presidency, but let's be real, that wasn't out of kindness. It was straight strategy. Trump was trying to score points with hip-hop fans and younger black voters. Wayne had even endorsed him during the campaign. It was all political chess. So Trump's help has never been random. It's always been tied to media buzz, influence, or getting something back in return. And right now, Trump hasn't mentioned Antoine Massey at all. No tweets, no true social posts, no offhand comments, nothing. And honestly, that's not shocking. Massey's not famous. He's not rubbing shoulders with celebrities. And he's facing major accusations. Stuff way too serious for anyone to casually jump in and defend. This ain't the kind of case Trump usually touches. And that's facts. There's no sympathy points in it for him. If anything, backing someone like Massey could blow up in his face. But here's the twist. If Antoine's case somehow got flipped into a bigger narrative, like a deep state setup or some corrupt system targeting innocent black men, and if a few big voices or conservative influencers jump behind it, then yeah, maybe Trump would start paying attention, but not to actually help Antoine. Let's be real. Trump only moves when there's a win in it for him. He'd use the story for clout, for headlines, for a campaign angle. That's how he plays. For Antoine to even get on Trump's radar, he'd need a full-blown movement behind him. Celebrity support, a viral moment, something that flips the script hard. Right now, he doesn't have that. And without it, Trump's staying silent. Now, what about NBA YoungBoy? He's from Louisiana. He's spoken out before on how messed up the justice system is. But as of now, there's no sign he even knows Antoine's situation. Not a peep from his camp. And Meek Mill? He's big on justice reform, no doubt. But he only steps in when there's clear public backing or a case that screams wrongful conviction. With the charges Antoine's carrying, domestic, car theft, plus the escape, this case doesn't exactly fit that mold. So here's the bottom line. Unless something major shifts like a viral twist or proof that changes everything, don't count on any big stars swooping in to save the day. Antoine might be trending in certain corners of the internet, but to the system, he's still a fugitive. And the chase, it's only getting hotter. History's been screaming the same thing for decades. Don't hold your breath. Real talk, there's barely any cases where a fugitive goes public, pleads for legal help, and actually beats the system. That fairy tale ending, it's a myth. The pattern's clear. Most folks who run end up right back where they started, or in an even worse spot. And once they get caught, because they always do, the system comes down harder. Extra charges, longer sentences, and zero sympathy. It's like hitting turbo on a bad situation. Even when escapees hop online talking about injustice, begging for lawyers, screaming for reform, all they're really doing is giving law enforcement a GPS signal on where to find them faster. Those Instagram lives, they're basically red carpet invites for the feds. And Antoine Massey, he's far from the first to try and outsmart the system while yelling for backup. Look at Juan Fayette in France. Dude pulled off a whole movie-style escape with a helicopter and everything. And what happened? They tracked him down, caught him, and hit him with 14 more years. No high-powered lawyer team, no big-name support, just extra time behind bars. Then there's the legendary Alcatraz escape. Those guys vanished without a trace. Still a mystery. But guess what? They didn't go live asking for help. They just disappeared. No Instagram, no begging for lawyers, just gone. And in more recent escapes like the Arizona trio or even the current New Orleans mess, same story, different names. None of those other escapees pulled off some legal miracle. If anything, their people got caught up right along with them, charged, cuffed, and dragged into the mess. And that circles us right back to Antoine Massey. His case feels wild because it's blowing up online, but truth is, it fits the same pattern we've seen before. Legal aid groups, they're not stepping in for anyone running wild. Lawyers want you in custody, period. Nobody's coming to the rescue while you're still dodging the law. And unless there's undeniable proof of a massive injustice, like solid, can't be argued with evidence, the public's not rushing to ride for you either. So while Massey's online claiming he was let out and begging for someone to believe his side, history's been clear. The odds are stacked way against him. And if he really thinks he's gonna be that one guy who runs, goes viral, then walks into court and beats the system, he's not just running from cops, he's running from reality. But what do you think? Is there any shot Massey beats the odds? Or is this just another case of someone trying to outrun the inevitable? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss a single update. And as always, we'll catch you in the next one. It only gets crazier from here.